I'm about to get ready to do a quick breakdown on the whole Kirk Franklin situation. I just mentioned it on my Mark and Sparkle video, but I want to elaborate on it a little further right quick and delve deep into this because what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the clip and I'm going to chime right on in.
I did it.
You hear that? He said, "I'll break your neck." I'm going to elaborate on that in a moment. His son is 33.
I have an older son named Carrion Franklin. In May, he'll be 33. For many years, we have had a toxic relationship with him as a family.
Now I'm going to delve deep into this because the aspect, like I was mentioning on my Marvin Sparkle video, the 33 represents the aspect of the Messiah. Because all they're doing is mocking him, mocking the whole aspect. But with the whole aspect of the Messiah representing reaching that peak of the pyramid and resurrecting, you know what I mean, after death. But when you hear him say, "I'll break your neck," I automatically thought about the land of Golgotha, because about the skull. You know what I mean? Where the Messiah was crucified in the land of the skull. Like I was mentioning, that's where the skull and bones Freemasonry comes from, the skull and bones, because that represents them gaining power after crucifying the Messiah. That's why everything they teach is always pushing death. You know what I mean? They basically program us to like embrace death more than life. Hence the whole aspect of the fast food restaurants. Everything is like more chicken, more burgers, pork, etc. They don't push life; they push the grave. You know what I mean? But I'm about to delve deep into this because it's a very deep aspect. And when I want to delve into when your neck, the whole sense of the Messiah anyway, when you're familiar with scriptures and in the book of Matthew, as it's written anyway. Well, I'm sorry, book of John. I'm sorry, John 19:34. During the crucifixion, remember the Messiah's side was pierced by a spear. Remember they put a spear through his side. You know what I'm saying? And what I want to talk deep about that is the whole aspect of everyone, the whole George Floyd, "I can't breathe." You hear what Kirk Franklin just said, "I break your neck." Obviously, what I mean, last year, how people, we already know about, I'm not going to really say the word, but the big sickness where everybody, you basically mess with your lungs. You know what I'm saying? I just want to say that right quick. It messes with your lungs because when your ribs are damaged, you can't breathe. On a spiritual sense, as it's written, Satan is the prince of air, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm about to get deep onto this level, and I'm gonna cover a couple of movies in this too. But when you know about that, that's why last year they was pushing heavy. They've been pushing the whole gender war. They've been pushing the whole aspect of the woman and the man basically becoming separated, and then like the woman becoming more masculine and the man becoming more feminine, and basically like they don't want the man and woman together. So that's why you see the single rate is high. You know what I mean? That's why they give us the shows where the women and the men are fighting, and then the woman is single, and the man is, basically have him as the cheater, or the woman is this. Since the ID channel, man killing woman, woman killing man, they push that whole angle and agenda because, well, as it's written, the woman is the rib. You know what I mean? So it's so deep because that whole aspect, when the ribs, like I said, is damaged, you can't breathe. That's why all of this was happening last year, man. And even before that, but really last year they was pushing it. And I'm about to tap deep into this because, like I said, Satan is called the prince of air. You know what I mean? And I'm about to delve deep into this. That's why he upped the radio waves and the whole technology to 5G. You get what I'm saying? Because now the five, like I've been talking about anyway, represents the 5 points of the Vitruvian man, and then the five as well represents nothing but the anarchy against order, and then also the five represents the 5 points of the God man, who's basically good and evil together, making him lukewarm in the eyes of the Most High. But I'm going to show y'all a movie that came out back in 2008 with Mark Wahlberg called The Happening, when the air had when people basically, when they looked, was dealing with the air would basically like make them commit suicide and kill them because it was demons possessing them through the air. You feel what I'm saying? So watch this clip. Notice how everybody just committing suicide.
Davis?
How people just committing suicide. Look at this. People just committing suicide because the air. You feel what I'm saying? And I'm gonna show you right quick on Bird Box too. I'm not gonna play it too long because of copyrights, but yeah, pay attention to this. Look at her, the air possessed her.
Making everybody crazy. It's here. It's here now. What?
Look at this. The air possessing them to make them kill themselves. You know what I mean? That's why they had to cover their eyes, because they had to protect themselves. You know what I mean? From the whole aspect of the Satan being the prince of air. And as it's written too, remember their eyes was blindfolded and they had to block out their houses and everything, because that represented us being the light of the world and Satan seeking out to destroy the light. You know what I mean? Because he wanted to disguise as an angel of light. Hence the whole aspect of the bird box. Because when you understand that, as it's written, where the birds are gathered, you know, that no one will be able to scare the birds away. You know what I mean? And as it's written too, with the Babylonian whore in Revelation, that the birds, she has all the defiled birds with her. In Matthew 24, the Messiah already said that your body should be as carcass to the birds, because what that represents is basically nothing but great destruction, you know what I mean, from the systematic oppression. You get what I'm saying? That's why they use the bird box for protection, because they use, I forgot which birds it was. I'm gonna look into it in a minute. But basically what they did was they used a certain type of birds to protect them and know it'll guide them on their way. And I'm gonna show you that in a moment. It's like holy doves in a sense. But what I want to do too, before I get back into this later on with the bird box, Chadwick Boseman, remember last year, got real skinny. And people was like, oh, you know, it's colon cancer, because they found out he had colon cancer. And like I've been talking about it on my Markle video, Meghan Markle, basically the colon cancer anyway represents going into, like, remember the Messiah went into the bowels of the earth for 3 days and then ascended to heaven aspect. This is why he was, they say he died of colon cancer, and why he got real skinny, because remember in Matthew 4:2, the Messiah literally is tempted by was led into the wilderness and tempted by the enemy. Remember, for 40 days and 40 nights, and he was taken to the high point of the city. And remember, Satan had asked him, he was like, if you're hungry, why not just turn these stones into bread? And as it's written, man should not live by bread alone. You know what I mean? Because what that's saying is basically like, man should not live by just wisdom and just knowledge. Because you have to have spiritual, you have to have the spirit. You can't just eat bread. You need the wine and you need the water to digest it properly. Otherwise, it's vain. It's just you, basically, it can become as vanity and pride. You know what I'm saying? In a way, I'm gonna get into that in a little bit. But on the movie of the same year that he was doing his film, when he was looking skinny, they had a film come out months before that, in 2020, like around June or May, because he didn't die until August 28th. Well, allegedly. But basically on the film, they was digging up his bones. Remember when I was talking about the land of Golgotha, the skull and bones, where the Messiah was crucified? Hint, while they was at his grave in the wilderness in Vietnam jungles, digging up his bones. And I'm gonna play a clip right quick and I'm gonna chime in.
Gave us something to believe in, a direction, a purpose. Taught us about black history when it wasn't.
Yeah, they said he gave us something to believe in. He gave us direction and purpose. And he was dead, for like 30, 40 years. And then they went back to Vietnam to dig up his bones and to get the gold, because he knew where the gold was at. He the one who hid the gold. You know what I mean? The treasures of the kingdom, man. You get what I'm saying? He was the way to get to the treasures of the kingdom, get to the royal gold. You feel me? Bird Box movie too. I want to just tap in and go back to that point. The Bird Box, they basically use like the scarlet chested parakeet, which is nothing but basically like a parrot. And when you understand a parrot, what does it do? It utters whatever you basically say. So like for instance, if I say hello, they'll say hello. You know what I'm saying? So you remember on the film, the people remember the ones who learned how to use the bird box was her and her children. Remember? Well, I don't even know if they were her children. I can't remember the movie, but basically the kids who was with her, remember they were the ones using the bird box to like, get to where they was trying to go, because what it represented, the bird box represented nothing but like basically the aspect of like the spirit guiding you. Hint why they had their eyes covered, because everybody else who saw used who didn't have their eyes covered died, because remember that represented nothing but like Satan being the prince of air. So the demons was killing, seeking out the light of the world. Remember how I was saying that if you didn't block out your house, they were coming to kill you on the film. And basically what I noticed too, which is another thing, which is so deep, how like basically the parrot represented like the spirit guiding them. You know what I mean? And it's so deep because what I noticed that is because what was inside of them was basically guiding them. You know what I mean? And which is so deep on a sports level. This is why LeBron James had to get Anthony Davis from the New Orleans Pelicans, because that represented him like the bird box, the pelican, which is representing nothing. Basically, the pelican, all the pelican represents is basically represents nothing but the Messiah, because it represents the whole aspect of being reborn, and it represents the whole aspect of being reborn. You know what I mean? That's all it represents. Is like the redemption and the atonement. You get where I'm going? It represents like basically becoming reborn. You know what I mean? Hint why Anthony Davis, aka his nickname is AD. Notice why they teamed up with LeBron James, aka King James of the Bible. That's all it represents. King James coming together with the bird box, aka AD, like basically his holy dove. You know what I mean? To literally solidify him as the Messiah role. You know what I mean? Like it's so deep, man. How deep this stuff go. You know what I'm saying? But I really just want to tap into that on this level and cover this whole aspect with Kirk Franklin a little deeper and Chadwick Boseman. But I'm actually going to end that right now. Thank you for watching Hide and Seek TV. Much more is coming. Peace.